Breaking news: Russia. Putin signs legislation increasing the minimum age for military reserve members by 5 years. President Putin of Russia has approved legislation raising the minimum age for reservists. The statute mandates a maximum age of 45 across the board. This is what the Russian government announced on their website on Monday. Reservists in the armed forces can now be called up to the age of 55. There will now be a 60-year age cap for officers up to the rank of captain, with a 65-year cap for officers of a higher rank. Generals could now be drafted even if they were 70 years old. The 17-month war between Russia and Ukraine was a factor in the decision. Russia officially drafted 300,000 reservists for the front during the partial mobilization ordered by Mr. Putin last autumn. However, the mobilization revealed significant flaws in the Russian military, and many Russians avoided military service by emigrating. Experts said a new wave of conscription was likely due to persistent problems at the front, despite Moscow's official denial of any intention to carry out another mobilization. On July 17, Oleg Korzhan, the head of the Communist Party in Russian-occupied Transnistria, was discovered dead in his home. A strong indicator of Russian involvement is the speed with which the Russian press pointed the finger at the West. There have been no reported arrests. However, the communists were opposed to Putin's loyalist regime because they believed it was not pro-Russian enough. It is more likely that powerful elements within Korzhan became the target, rather than Russian intelligence. As long as stability is maintained, Russia appears content to let rivalries develop among its own supporters. There are fewer possible culprits to consider than there might have been a decade ago. Population loss in Transnistria has been more extreme and devastating than in any other region of southeastern Europe as people leave and birth rates fall. There are probably fewer than 300,000 people living there now. Despite a Russian office red garrison of 1,500, its future is now more uncertain than at any point since the Kremlin organized its breakaway in 1992. It is surrounded on one side by Moldova and on the other by a heavily armed and none too friendly Ukraine. The ruling class in Transnistria is aware of the difficulty of their situation. Transnistria is often portrayed as stuck in the Soviet past, but in reality it resembles modern autocratic Russia more than it does communist Russia. After the fall of the Soviet Union, state-owned enterprises in Russia fell under the control of a small group of oligarchs with ties to the intelligence community. Unlike in Moscow, there was no strongman who was able to bring down the business elite, who eventually became so powerful that the largest business, Sheriff, founded by two former policemen in 1993 and whose logo is a lawman's badge, now has significant sway over the state through the Renewal ruling party. Yevgeny Shevchuk, Transnistria's second president, took office in 2011. He sought to limit the party's influence by increasing taxes on the company and weakening the influence of Renewal Party members in the Supreme Soviet. In 2016, however, Sheriff outwitted Shevchuk and forged an alliance between Shevchuk's Renewal and Putin's United Russia Party. Renewal was able to secure a supermajority in the Soviet with the help of the alliance, and Sheriff loyalist Vadim Krasnoselsky was able to become president. As he fled to Moldova proper, the party removed Shevchuk's immunity and the investigative committee there accused him of bribery, corruption, and embezzlement. The anti-Sheriff Communist Party became a prime target during Krasnoselsky's rule, narrowing the already limited space for opposition. The party asserted an assassination attempt on Korzhan occurred in 2017. Korzhan was arrested the following year after the state administration denied the communists' request to hold a rally and they went ahead with the event anyway. Korzhan, who was released late last year, immediately resumed his anti-government activism, telling an interviewer that the influence of Sheriff is limitless. The Moldovan Civil Congress Party, a radical offshoot of the Russian proxy Communist Party of Moldova, and he signed a cooperation agreement on July 9. Before meeting with Moldovan President Igor Dodon, Korzhan was branded a traitor. After a week, he passed away. The reaction from Transnistria has been subdued. While there has been extensive coverage of the murder on Telegram channels monitoring protests in the region, there have been no reports of protests as of yet, though that could change on July 24 when his funeral takes place. Communists were never widely supported, but now they are so out of the spotlight that they barely register. In his final year, Korzhan pleaded with the Russian government to take a more active role in Transnistrian affairs by recognizing the «rotten regime» and taking action. However, with a war on Transnistria's border, the Kremlin is only interested in stability. The assassination of Korzhan should serve as a clear warning to anyone who challenges this. Ben Dubo is the CEO and founder of Omelas, a company that collects and analyzes data on state manipulation of the Internet. Dubo is also a non-resident fellow at CEPA.